What's cracking, y'all? Thank y'all for tuning back in to episode 5 of Just Be Real. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. If you're a real one, you will actually click the notification button so that way you don't miss any future uploads from my channel. Let's get right into it. Thank y'all for tuning back in. This episode, I wanted to go over some statistics about porn. I've already talked about my experience with it and how I discovered it and the anxiety and how it wrecked my life, all of that stuff. But I want to bring y'all some numbers, some facts. These are from credited sources from the internet. If you think I'm about to remember all these numbers, you got another thing coming. I wrote it all down right here. And it's basically going to be five of the most important facts that I found out about pornography, how it has grown since from when I discovered it back in the early 2000s to where it is today, which is the numbers are astronomical. Even when I was going through the numbers, I couldn't believe how many people are affected by this thing. First, let's talk about the internet. The internet came out in 1989, a few years before I was born, but it didn't really take off until the late 90s and early 2000s. I was born in 92, but I didn't see my first computer until like the year 2000. A lot of people still didn't have computers and internet, but when it took off, of course, everything else along with that took off too. You were able to communicate better. You were able to make documents. Life became easier with this device. And a lot of people started to get it. We wasn't able to afford it. So that's probably why we didn't have it. Now, almost 5 billion people around the world have internet. We have 8 billion people in this world. So at least half of them have internet today. 92% of them use it via their cell phone. So times have changed. We went from the huge computers with the big modems to laptops, and now we have cell phones, which is basically mini computers in our pockets. And now you can access it from anywhere. Doesn't matter where you are, you have access to the internet now. More than 2/3 of them are on social media, and social media started back in my day with MySpace. Now it has grown to Facebook, now you have Instagram, and you have TikTok. So just how social media and the internet has grown throughout the years, so has porn. And porn has become more advanced as we become more advanced as a civilization. So the internet speed and the access to it is so much greater than what it used to be back in the day. With the internet in the US alone, adults can spend more than 6 hours a day on their computer and their smartphone together. And if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're mainly sitting at a computer desk for 8 hours, it's even more than that. Then you probably go home and you go on your cell phone. Now you're looking at 9 to 10 hours a day. And we're sitting at a desk sometimes for that amount of hours a day, so it's not good for our health. And then you have to go to the chiropractor. You got to get a massage because this internet, these computers and these devices have taken over our lives. I didn't get my first computer, me and my family, until we were probably, I want to say I was like in middle school, which was the early 2000s, probably like 2004. That was the first time I got a computer, and we used dial-up internet. Y'all kids don't know nothing about that today. I forgot how it worked. You had to like start up your computer and it made this loud noise, and it took like 5-10 minutes just to start up, and then once you got it going, it was smooth sailing from there. But internet wasn't as fast as it is today. We didn't have as many options to choose from as far as the types of computers, the make, the model, like we do today. So things have changed drastically just within my generation. So let's get to the porn and how that has changed and elevated and advanced throughout the years. The first thing is that out of the internet and the searches that go on via Google, for example, 25 searches on the computer or on your phone are related to porn. Some people watch porn at work, and they take breaks whenever they're on their lunch break or something. Grown men, women, they're actually accessing porn during those hours. With it being 25% searches on the internet, that equates to 68 million searches a day that are happening and that are related to pornography. That's a lot of searches. And I think these numbers made me realize just how many people are actually looking for porn. You're not stumbling across it, you're actually looking it up on your computer or on your device. And that's eye-opening. Porn just came across the screen when I first discovered it. And it wasn't something that I knew existed, but I saw some pictures because I went to a website that was completely by accident. And of course, almost 2 decades later, it's still become a habit and addiction for me. The next statistics is in the US alone, the porn industry is making about $3 billion a year. If you break that down, about $3,000 is spent every second on porn. The entire worldwide industry in porn is making about $5 billion a year, which for me, I didn't realize that because most of the videos that I've watched, probably all of them, were free. So I didn't really know how people in the industry were making money if most of the videos on the internet are free videos. So I wanted to see how people were making money in this industry. And it's usually through subscriptions. Some people get subscriptions every month that come to their emails and they get notified when there's a new video that gets posted. Some people do it through live chats. You can have a personal experience with a porn actor and you have to actually pay for that experience. So that's how the industry makes their money too. You can make it through magazines, even though that's kind of an ancient way of looking at porn because you have internet now, but people still buy magazines that are pornographic. Pay-per-view, which is something that you can buy online. I believe HBO and maybe even Stars, I think they have their own adult category. I know when I've checked into hotel rooms, they have their own section that is porn related, erotic videos that you pay for. And then videos be like $15, $20 a video. Another statistic, the third one, is that 1 in 3 women watch porn. So this is not just a male thing. This is not just something that the granddad gave to the son, you know, when he was younger, a pornographic Playboy magazine, and now he's been watching it into adulthood. There are women out here, and 1 in 3 of them, porn users, are women. I think, it's not even that I think, women are more driven by fantasy through like erotic novels. That's why when the movie 50 Shades of Grey came out, around 70% of the people in the audience were women because those women read the erotic novel books. Reading those type of books is basically soft porn, and watching those kind of movies are basically soft porn. They're all about fantasy and taking you to another world that just doesn't exist in this reality. And a lot of women cater to that by reading that type of literature because they're able to visualize exactly what's on the paper in the books. That was shocking for me to know because most of the people that I've come across, even in the SAA meetings that I've attended, were mainly men. I've probably been to one meeting where there were a couple of women in there that were sex addicts. But 1 in 3 are women, unfortunately. So the fourth statistic that was very alarming to me was that porn is directly related to human trafficking. Knowing this and not knowing that I may have come across some videos that I've watched where there were probably women or men that were not there and giving consent to what they were doing, almost like basically broke my heart. To know that I probably even engaged in some videos that I've come across, or that there are other people out there that are watching videos and they don't know if the person in front of the camera actually wants to be there. There's this organization called the International Labor Organization, and they estimate that there are over 40 million people currently that are victims of human trafficking. And what's even more alarming is that hundreds of thousands of those victims live right here in the United States. And a lot of those victims live right here in Atlanta because Atlanta has the biggest airport in the US. So it's the main hub for connecting flights and people, you know, trafficking kids and women, and even men can be trafficked. I didn't even know that. And I can't believe that it's been going on for as long as it has and is growing more and more. And there's really been nothing done about it. It's so sad to even know that. And 1 in 6 children that run away actually get trafficked into porn. So they run away from one environment that's not good for them, which is where they live, and they run into a whole nother world, and somebody snatches them up, and now they're in this whole other universe where they're having to do things and that they don't want to do. Some of these things are actually being filmed and sold in the commercial pornography industry. But what I found out is that 70% of people that watch porn, when they find out that it's related to sex trafficking, actually start to do things to combat it. And they actually start to break away from the porn once they realize that gut-wrenching statistic. So that's good news, is that the more people become aware of the link between trafficking and porn, people actually want to do something about it. And the more we consume as people that have watched porn or that want to, the more demand is going to be placed to continue those type of engagements and have women and men and even children being held against their will, having to perform these acts in front of the camera. And we can't really tell, you know, if they're enjoying it for real or if they're having to fake it for the person that bought them and sold them. Be aware that those two are actually like linked, because they're not two separate entities. They're actually a part of the same family. The fifth statistic is 93% of boys and 62% of girls will become exposed to pornography by the time they are 18 years old. 93%, like that's almost all boys in the world will have some type of exposure to pornography. My first exposure was at the rightful vulnerable age of 13, which is when hormones are raging, your sexuality is coming into form, and then you link it to this screen and device and you don't know what to think. Your sexuality becomes intertwined with this fake thing that's happening that you're watching, and it's hard to break away from it because it came in at such a vulnerable, raw age. It saddens me to just think that the internet has come this far to where it can just come across your screen, and next thing you know, you're just going down this rabbit hole of addiction and you're trying to break away from it. And like I say, my discovery of it wasn't something that I went intentionally looking for. But there are some kids that are, you know, at the age today where they're actually going to look for sex. Kids today are becoming addicted at the age of 9. I have cousins that are that age, and to see them so full of life and so just driven by curiosity and excitement for life itself, and to get hit in the face with something like this at that tender age makes me do exactly what I'm doing now. This is why I want to do it, because I don't want these statistics and these numbers to keep growing. Even though that looks like the way it's going is that it's just getting worse and worse and more people are becoming involved, we have the ability and the right to protect our kids. We don't have to give them these devices at a certain age, or I've even seen kids with iPads at the age of 1 and 2. I just believe, even though I'm not a parent yet, that that's just too young for a kid to have a device. We didn't have our first computer in the house until I was well in middle school. And I had a cell phone, but it didn't have no internet. It was a flip phone. Now you got iPhone 13s and stuff, which is giving kids even more access to these websites, and even social media. Like Twitter allows you to post porn on Twitter. The only thing it's gonna do when you go to those type of profiles is just say, hey, are you over the age of 18? If you're a curious kid, you're gonna click yes, so that way you can see what's behind that content. We have to do our job to maybe install firewalls on the computers, install porn blockers on the phones, Don't let your kids get social media until they are at an age well into high school or even out of high school to where they can handle that type of information and that type of interaction. We think that because society has just pushed this, generation into technology that we have to do it. But growing up, when I was growing up and we didn't have cell phones, life just felt a lot more free. Kids didn't deal with anxiety and depression like they do now because they're comparing themselves to people that they see on the internet and on social media. So I think it can just help their self-esteem to not have it. Let these kids live their life. We didn't have a TV in our room, growing up. So things are definitely different. And I wanted you guys to be aware of how times have changed just within this generation. So don't become a statistic. And if you find yourself already becoming a statistic, it's not too late to get out of it. These numbers are staggering. I'm going to leave the link to the sources and information that I've gotten these things from in the description below. So that way you guys can see for yourselves how things have changed in the last decade. And the numbers just keep rising, but they don't have to. We can do our part by not placing a demand on the sex trafficking, more videos, more content, more novelty coming out, just by stop consuming that type of content. Just don't consume it. And think about what is happening on the other side of the screen that we may be completely unaware of. Allow that to be the catapulting factor to change, because it has for me. Knowing that it's directly related to human trafficking, for example, has changed my outlook on porn indefinitely. Just to know that what I'm consuming is bringing me pleasure, but it's probably not bringing pleasure to the person that's actually engaging in it. We don't know if it is. We don't know how many people are actually there against their will and without consent. So it's best to just not consume at all. Let's do our part. Let's be aware of the numbers and let's pray about it. Let's pray that God shuts down this industry. I'm just that much of a believer and that hopeful that God can do anything. God rained down sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah because it was a city that was just vile and consumed by evil. This porn industry is consumed by evil and it's preying on the minds of young people. It wants to get to the children. It wants to get to Gen Z and the generation after that. It's up to us. We are alive today. We see the numbers, we see the damages and the effects that it causes, and we can do our part. Join me in prayer and education and doing your own research to bring down this industry and to stop it where it stands before it gets any worse. I just wanted to bring those statistics to light through my own research. And if you guys want to enjoy more content like this, please subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications so that way you don't miss a future upload. Thank y'all for tuning in. Class is now over. It's time for me to go eat because my mouth is dry and I can feel my lips getting chapped. Thank you.